Hi everyone, welcome to today's live video. Welcome to my classroom. My name is Andrea and I am a learning specialist. I'm an exceptional education teacher and I am passionate about addressing the physiological aspects of learning so that we can create a physiological base so that students can have greater ease in learning. I'm so passionate about this. I've been studying how deliberate and specific movements actually can help to enhance academic learning for over 20 years. All right, so today I'm really excited. I'm going to talk belly breathing, and want to talk about how such a very simple concept, simple skill can help students to support their own learning. And it's really a lifetime tool because we know now from all the research and all the science now that breathing techniques do help to calm the nervous system. And when the nervous system is calm, all these other wonderful gifts happen. So we're going to talk belly breathing today, and I want, please don't write it off because it's just breathing. Think of it as a magical tool, an invitation to understand what's going on in your system and the systems of those that you're working with, all right? So I have a plan for today. My first thing is shout out to Deborah. Yay! She wrote to me telling me about how she's starting the belly breathing with her students and having some fun with it. And she even started it with them when they were outside of the class in a line. Like, shout out to you, right? Just using your resources. I love it. And then she talked about how she was working with one particular student and he was having difficulty hearing sounds and producing them. And that got her thinking of a specific brain gym movement that helps sort of stimulate the inner ear. And she said that the before was really messy, trying to get him to hear and say the sounds. They did the brain gym movement, which was really tough for him, brought him back to the task, and he improved his accuracy by 80%. So there is one of those like aha moments where using a deliberate, specific movement can enhance academic ability, right? So she got that information from Brain Gym Teacher's Edition, which anybody can buy. So if you're watching this live in the Facebook, I will try to put some sort of a way for you to figure out where to get this book. Or if you're watching the YouTube, I'll put a link below. Okay, so again, welcome. I just want to see if I can fix that just slightly. Great. All right, I have a bit of a plan for today. I've written it down. It's in front of me. What I want to do is I want to talk about last week. I talked about a student who was working on a fluency skill that then translated to greater fluency in reading. And I'm going to just sort of unpack that a little bit more. Then I'm going to talk about another student where we were working on some belly breathing and honestly, the movement wasn't accessible to him. So where my thought process goes for trying to help that student. And I'm going to wrap up by giving you some ideas for helping students consciously breathe in more of a fun way. All right, so here we go. Let's start with last week. So last week, I introduced belly breathing to a group of students that I work with, and the way I decided that it was easiest was when you blow out, pull your belly in as much as you can, hold, and when you breathe in, it's more of a natural expansion, right? So then they can feel it. Because the comments I got from the students in the group where they told me that I was actually trying to get them to breathe opposite of what is normal. And normal is a funny word, but what that told me about them is that they were reverse breathing, and reverse breathing is a stress reaction. So when we are under stress and that fight or flight kicks in, we tend to hold our breath. If that pattern of holding the breath is repeated, we learn on a level that, hey, when I hold my breath, that supports me. It doesn't really. Our breath is our life force. But anyway, we unconsciously learn that, and it becomes a pattern. So we are consciously or unconsciously supporting ourselves in that fight or flight. And we have to almost relearn how to get as much oxygen as we can in this beautiful belly breathing, kind of like that baby's breath. When they breathe in, the belly expands, and when it breathes out, it contracts. So I also noticed a pattern that all of my dyslexic students that have that label reverse breathe. So we've been really working on expanding, contracting. Okay. One of the students last week was able to gain a skill when then we went to a reading task. And what I mean by the fluency skill was before we would take the time to slowly breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, maybe 4 or 5 times. She could not, and maybe would not, could not, I guess. When she would read, she could not see the periods, the commas, exclamation, question mark. Her reading was losing meaning because she wasn't pausing after commas and periods. Her intonation with question marks and exclamation marks was flat. So her fluency was just off, but actually taking the time to really slowly breathe really improved the fluency. And it actually, in my other student, he normally wants to be at the end of the passage before he's in the middle of the passage. And when I consciously get him breathing slowly, belly breathing, his words per minute actually improve because he's not stumbling as much because he's slowing down. It's pretty amazing stuff. All right. Secondly, I introduced this belly breathing to another student, so had his hands on his belly and noticed that he was having a really hard time with it. So it was kind of a forced, labored breath, and he was not able to follow the instructions of this breathing technique. And then I tried my trick of, well, if you pull your belly in and breathe out, and those instructions for him, he was trying so hard, but he could not consciously look at his belly and pull it in. So I'm going to tell you where my mind went with this and hope that it helps somebody. So what that thought to me, I've always said strong core, strong mind. So somewhere there's a disconnect where he's not able to control his core in the way he wants to. So something's going on. And that made me think that I need to go back to more basic exercises that are more reflex integration exercises, and then I'll be able to draw out more from him because we need to provide more of a base. So that was a week ago, and I started some pretty, I would say, intensive intervention that way with one specific exercise that is seen to help integrate the moro reflex, which usually it's a reflex that starts in utero and should be integrated by about 3 or 4 months. If it's not integrated, all of the training and reading I've done kind of says that it's the gateway to all the other things. So we need to get that one integrated. So we've been working on that, and I've seen some pretty amazing things, right? Including today when we tried belly breathing, he was able to follow the instructions. So sometimes just slowing down and tuning into the breath will give you clues as to how a child is thinking, performing, where the struggles might be. And watch for the reverse breathing. If they are breathing out and the belly is expanding and breathing in and it's going in, that's a stress response. That's more of a survival reflex breath. All right, so for those kids that are in that and they're having a really hard time, here are some fun things to get them using their breath consciously. All right. So even in 5th grade, I pulled out things like this. This is this little like dollar store thing. I think I got a whole bunch in a package, and you just blow on it, right? So they're having to blow, right? So just getting them consciously breathing in, breathing out. And of course, they each get their own for safety's sake. Another idea is bubbles. I took these kids, they're in 5th grade, and we were practicing the breathing, and I got them doing bubbles, and they had so much fun. They told me they'd never had so much fun blowing bubbles. So that was another way to say, and when you blow the bubbles out, suck your belly in, and they were able to get it. So that's more fun as well. Just an idea. This morning with the same group, I had them lying down in my hookup position, which was one of my previous movements of the month, and it's also a brain gym activity. And we were lying down and we were like this, and I took a book and simply put it like this on my belly. They each had one on their belly on either side of me. And what's nice about being on your belly looking up is kids aren't looking at each other. They're looking at the ceiling, and you're giving them a focus of the book, so they're not really self-conscious. They're just because to look at someone else is kind of a lot of work. And I just said, see if on the breath in, the book can rise, and on the breath out, the book will fall. And we just did that a few times. And at that point, you're not even saying, hey, let's do belly breathing. You're more like, hey, let's just see if we can play with our breath and our bodies to raise the book. And one other fun one is a light feather on your tummy, trying to do that. Okay. And then the last thing, which is more of a purchase thing, is one of these Hoberman spheres that's kind of fun. Kids love these things. They like sticking their head in it. They like having fun with it. But it's also a great way to kind of show when you inhale, the air is filling up the belly. Exhale, down. And also it's a great way if you're trying to get them to count and inhale of 4, you can use this as a visual, like 1, 2, 3, 4, hold, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, like that. And then once they get good, you can get different children holding it and leading other children. And a lot of my kids with attention issues, or like both ADD, ADHD, dyslexia, a lot of issues, this kind of control with a count is so good for them, and they love being in charge. So try this. It's awesome. Yeah. All right, so those are the tools. Like I said, you can have them blowing into an instrument, the bubbles, lying down with the book, or even the Hoberman sphere. Please do check out AndreaFry.us. I have a one-page PDF on belly breathing. A lot of my information comes from Dr. Carla Hannaford, her book Smart Moves, Why Learning is Not All in Your Head. And I have some from Brain Gym Teachers Edition. And today, a lot of your information that I was giving you about the reflex integration work that I'm doing with one of my students, that theory I get from Bonnie Brandeis and also Eve Kodiak and Sally Goddard. So really important stuff that we as teachers can start incorporating into the classroom to enhance and accelerate learning. I think that, you can't, it's not that all of these movements are going to all of a sudden have kids taking off and just learning so fast, but it is laying the groundwork to make learning easier and becoming more present, all of us. It's so important. So hopefully today was helpful. Please write in if you've got some examples of times when this works. I was so happy that Deborah gave me her information on stuff she's been doing. It was really, really inspiring. And I look forward to talking to you next week. Next week we're gonna look further into belly breathing, and I'll give you some of the theory of why we get stuck in a stress breath, a stressed way of breathing, according to Dr. Carla Hannaford. So we're going to talk about that next week. Anyway, have a great week. Take time to breathe. Enjoy.